All right, guys, we are live. This is Bruiser trying to do an ad hoc free for all tournament analysis now that the groups have come out. I've got the Abstract Kid with me as well. See if you can say something, Abstract.
Yo, what's up, everybody?
All right, hopefully everybody can hear Abstract Kid. We're going to make this a little bit impromptu, so I apologize for the lack of professionalism. We got splattered in the chat room right now. But what I want to first do is pull up the groupings for today's tournament. And let me see if you guys can get on this real quick. Hang on just a second. Let's see. All right, can everybody see the groupings I've got up? All right, so what I want to do first, I guess the Abstract Kid is let's take a look at Group 1 and do a little breakdown here. What do you see in Group 1 that stands out to you as opposed to the other groups?
Mythic Flame, I think decently well. I believe he can probably put up, probably hold his own in this category. Other than that, I know Splattered is really good. I just did some research on Boomy. He seems like he's been around the block a few times. Other than that, the three are relatively new to me. I talked a little bit to long shots and aces. I think it's going to be tough for them in this pool. I definitely think it's one of the stronger pools. But I think anything can happen. But I definitely would say that Boomy and Splatter will probably make it out of this one pretty unscathed.
All right, so you're calling Boomy and Splattered being the top two from this group. Do you project a third place? Is that hard to do considering that you got two Onyx and and a Diamond and a Platinum in this group? I think it's safe to say that you're probably not going to pick Shot Aces since he is a Platinum, even though it sucks to do that to him. But is
Right.
that what you're going to say?
Yeah, it's definitely a safer bet not to go with the lower ones. But I don't know. I would say I want to go with Mythic Flame just because I know him a little bit better and I don't know Closer Sport too well. But again, not knowing someone doesn't mean I don't. They're not good by any means. So I'm gonna go with Mythic Flame for the third one coming out of this pool.
Okay, and is there anything else that stands out to you in this group? Do you think this is a fairly even group in terms of a fair mix of champions, Onyx, and other groupings?
I think that yeah, I think it is like relatively balanced. Even though I think this is just one of the higher skill markings out of any of the other groups. In the way that almost anyone can win this. I think shot aces will have a really hard time making out of this pool, but at the same time, I think everyone's so good that it's almost set in stone who's going to be coming out of this.
Yeah, I agree with you. We got a lot of champions in this league, and especially with today's additions, it's going to make it hard for I think anyone but a champion or Onyx to come out of these groupings and go into the second round.
I think you're absolutely correct. Yeah, and I think the second round will really be interesting to see how many champions actually do have to go up against each other, and we might have a full game of champions come the finals.
Yeah, I'm with you. It'll be all chalk. And when I was doing my top six last night, it was hard to go against all chalk. So let's if you can, let's take a look at group number two and what stands out here to you.
Ferocity, for sure. Hard to ignore that name. He's been to a few LAN events. He came out with second at MLG New Orleans in 2018, so that was I think only a few months ago. Second place in the free for all at a LAN event that big is really hard to overlook. He will have no trouble getting out of this group first place for sure.
Yeah, and for your other two picks to come out of this group, are you going to go chalk and go Corsica? He is a EU player, so how do you think that's going to factor into whether or not he makes it out of this group?
I haven't seen him on lately. I know him pretty well, so I'm actually gonna go with Beam to Clutch because I know a few of the Clutch people. I think Beam is at least associated with them, and they all can hold their own really well. And I'm gonna go with Zapper as well. I don't know. I have a good feeling about Zapper.
Yeah, me too. And last night when I was doing my top six rankings, I actually liked Zapper too to make it into the final round. I predict him to be one of my dark horses. Now that may change I don't know if he has what it takes to make it to that final group now that we did have so many late additions today, but I do expect him to make it at least into round two.
Right. Yeah, I definitely see him getting out of this, or at least hopefully. I mean, hopefully my predictions are correct.
Yeah, and it's tough to make predictions here. We haven't seen a lot of these players play yet. We've been basing it off of stats. We've also been going off of what we've seen in pub games. So a little bit difficult to make these calls. Moving on to Group Three, Abstract. Who do you think's gonna emerge from this group?
I definitely played with Veronica before. I definitely think that they're decently good. I think they could probably put up a fight. I would love to see them try to get out of this pool, but I also know Floppy is really, really good. And honestly, I don't know too many of the other names here. I definitely have to do some more research on them. So hard to say from my end who's gonna make it out of here.
Yeah, I agree with you. The one note here is Cringetier. He was a late ad yesterday. I did pick him to make it to the top six, and I still am going to stay with that in this group three. Not a lot of known names here to me in this group, and so I do think that Cringetier is going to probably make it out of here relatively easy.
I think you might be right. Yeah, I think Tier being the top tier champion along with Floppy will probably be decently easy to get out of there. But then again, Floppy could just clean up so hard that it's hard for anyone to get enough kills. That'll just come down to kind of like who can scrape together the most sort of bottom barrel sort of stuff here.
Yeah, I agree with you there. While we move on to Group 4, Abstract, tell us a little bit about what you see in Group 4. I'm going to ask the community what they think so far after the first three groups.
Absolutely. So I know Hero Wireless pretty well. I played with him a good amount. I definitely think he will not have any difficulty making it out into the second round here. As I look up Holic because I haven't had a chance to yet, I also know Lawless decently well, and I do think that he will. He's obviously a contender, being the third on the list and the only Onyx in the group, to actually make it out of this playlist. Into the round two, and I think he will. He just kind of probably has to go up against Reem, which won't be the easiest, and Ruthless will also put up a good fight. I don't know Chris at all, so I can't make a prediction on him, but being only a platinum and me of never hearing him or seeing him in the chat that often, I would say he might not be the most dedicated and might not be able to put up the numbers he needs
Yeah, and
to.
I do believe, if I remember, Chris is an esports player for his university and coming into the Halo scene. So I don't know how much he actually does LAN events or if he's just not online. It'll be interesting to see how Chris does stack up. Now, I do have his statistics, and they're not the greatest, especially among platinums. You know, he's got a .7 frag rate and a 27% accuracy. So I really don't expect Chris to make too big of a mark
Yeah.
in this grouping.
I think you might be right. I think this might be Chris's first endeavor into the Halo scene, and he's just kind of feeling the waters here. So I definitely don't see him coming out of this bracket at all.
Yeah, and to answer Euro Snow Cones, and that's a funny gamer tag, by the way, to answer his question in the chat, we've got who were the Group 3 predictions again? Me and Abstract Kid, we're going to go with Cringeteer and Floppy out of this group. The number 3 is a toss-up.
Yeah, I think Neo Shooter, Snowcone, or even Sparks could come out of here pretty well. And I've seen Veronica play a bit. I think that they can put up definitely the numbers necessary if they just focus on their cleans and less on one-on-one fights. But again, that can be really hard with Floppy running around, kind of just cleaning everybody up.
Yeah, and some comments out of the chat here. We got rock, paper, scissors, and that's basically what it is at this point, and that's what makes this a little bit fun to do a little analysis on players we don't know, we haven't seen. All we've got is statistics so far, and basing it off of that, and some of the pub games that we've played. But I want to move on to Group 5 now, and tell me what sticks out to you here in Group 5. Is Griffin the one to go out on this one?
Ooh, this is my favorite group. So I know a good amount of people in here already. Actually, like a pretty large amount. I even know the only unknown rank on this entire list, and I'm not going to tell you how good he is because I don't want to hype him up. But I am excited to see him play. I want to see if he can contend with these people. So that would be Master Lau if you're not looking at the screen. Griffin is a huge FFA player. He played FFA a lot leading up to, I think, the first local FFA tournament. expecting it to be a little bit of a tough game for him. I played up against him. That was the first time I met him actually, because they're in the same area. He is really good in FFA, and he recently has started getting back into Halo. And that kid takes so little time to throw off the rust. He is back in form, and it's going to be really tough to take him down.
Yeah, I agree. And Griffin actually is a surprise late ad. He originally had pulled out 2 days ago, had work issues, but he was able to get out of work early today, and he's going to make it. So I bet several people, especially those in his groupings, are a little bit disappointed that he is coming back. Well,
Yeah, he's
what do you think about Rev in this group though? I've played with Rev a little bit. He actually can stack up kills pretty quickly, and he's a good shot caller. Though this is FFA, so not much to be said there for someone who can call out shots. But what do you think of Rev?
I really do like Rev, especially in a 4v4 setting. But personally, I've also gone up against him a few times, and nothing against the guy. I definitely think he's a good team player, but I don't think he's going to be able to hold his own in this free for all at all, especially not in this kind of pool. I think he's going to have a really tough time gathering together any kills enough to get him out of sixth or fifth place.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Space Pistol, Old Master Lao, and I wasn't able to get stats on Old Master Lao, but so that's a little bit of an unknown. But I think Rev may got his work cut out for him out of this grouping. You got, just to talk about, some of the late ads like Laser Me Tort, who came in today. He's a champion player, and you know, not seeing his stats here. Here we go. Laser Me Tort. We've got a .99 frag rate and 50%. So yeah, out of the champions, his frag rate's not that high, but he does have 265 kills. So I wonder how much the huge kills have impacted his frag rate.
Likewise, yeah.
Yeah, so with Group 5 said, we're looking at Group 5. We're going to take, well, me personally, I'm going to take Griffin, Weekend Chicken, and, I'm going to go on a limb here, and I'm going to say Rev maybe out of this group.
Yeah, okay. That's a bold prediction. Let's see how that turns out.
Yeah, and I'm saying that based off of I don't know much about Laser. I don't know much about Space Pistol and Old Master Lao, so I think that Weekend Chicken, Revenant, and Griffin come out of this group.
Okay, I could definitely see that happening. It's definitely a possibility.
All right, what do you make of Group 6?
Well, that is indeed my group. I have yet to have the chance to actually do too much research on anybody outside of the people I already know from this group, as I was a little busy this morning.
Oh,
But
you want me to
look,
let me help you out here. You got Sefard Tooth 79. He's a champion at 1.21 frag rate and 49% accuracy rate. You got I don't know if you've heard much about AAA Massacre. He's got 1.24 frag rate, 47% accuracy, and then Fistro you know about, and Sir Koopa and Crispy Reamer. So how do you feel about the group that you're in?
I'm feeling not 100% confident that I'll make it out alive, but I definitely feel I have a chance here to make it into round two. Sir Koopa and Crispy Reamer, was that Reamer? Yeah, I don't know them at all, so I will be very quickly trying to learn how they play and how they'll be adapting to this high level environment, and if they're going to be easy cleanups or if they're going to be people I'm going to want to avoid and just kind of go for other people or just cleans in general. I know Five can put up definitely the fight that he needs to get out of here. Again, AAA Massacre I've never played with, and Surf Tooth I know will probably have not too much of a difficulty beating out the other five of us.
Yeah, and that's a good statement you made there. I kind of agree with you there, and I did pick you to make it to my top six. So hopefully you can emerge from this group and emerge from the second round. Overall, as we look at all of these groups, who do you think will be your top six? Now I know it's a little bit hard to do without any type of graphics seeing who advances, and that plays a little part, especially when you talk about groupings. But just based off what we see, what do you think your top six is going to be?
Okay, so I'm gonna start off easy with the Flurry. He's definitely top one for me. He'll probably make it. I predict him to win the whole thing. After that, I definitely think Griffin, Walrus. So that's what, three right now. I would say Floppy probably gonna get pretty far. I think Splatter's gonna make it, and then I think the sixth spot's really up for grabs for a lot of people.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Do you agree with me on my last night's prediction that Splatter's going to take this one home? Is it his to lose, or do you think he's got some more contention now that we've had these late ads?
I think the late ads really add a lot of competition to it. In my opinion, I think this is Ferocity's one to lose.
Yeah, and for those of you who are watching, Splattered has a 1.58 frag rate with 57%. And I said last night on the cast, if you guys were able to watch, that's the highest out of the champions. But he does now have a lot of contention. Ferocity has a 1.5 KD and a 48% accuracy. So that's another champion that we see with a 1.5 frag rate, who can challenge Splattered for the top shot. So after talking about who we have in our finals, our final six, what do you think some of these players, some of our Onyx, Diamonds, and Platinums need to do in order to give the best run at making it out of the first round?
I think it's basically what you would tell any FFA player going into a match. The first thing you want to do is don't get flustered. There's a lot of game ahead of you. Never start rushing into battles you don't need to be in. Just kind of listen to the map and adjust accordingly. Like if you hear fights going on, start going in that direction, but expect that there will be someone probably with low shields, but also other people on their way to clean up some more kills. And that's the second point is just go for cleans. Getting straight up kills is great, but if you have to 1v1 someone and you come out of it with no shields, you'll probably get cleaned up in the next second or second and a half pretty quickly.
So with it being a 12-minute unlimited kill game type, do you think it's best for some of these lower players to kind of sit back and wait for kills, or do you think they should just go all out and be really aggressive in their gameplay?
I think the higher skill you are, the easier it is to be aggressive. Obviously, that's not something that needs to be said. But I think if you're lower skilled, I wouldn't say hold back because then you're going to be just trying to go up against high level people who are already searching for you and you might get caught out a few times. I would say make your own situations in the way that know where you're going, try to think about where they are, think about where you're going to encounter them, and just be ready at any point to be in a fight and try not to get caught off guard at any point in time. So always be on guard.
Yeah, that's some good advice. Hopefully, we have some lower players out there, such as myself, that can heed that advice. What do you think they should do about any power ups? Do you think overshield?
Time your power ups. Make sure you time your power ups. If you're not timing your power ups, you might not be able to get them every time because you might get outclassed. But what you can do is you can definitely prepare for them. So there's an OS, you can go find where the green gun is like 30 seconds beforehand or 20 seconds beforehand, prepare for that to pop, and you can just take away that OS right away. The most important thing is to make sure that you're there because they're the most vulnerable when getting the power up, especially if it's like invis or something. So if you're down there and even if you can't get it and you're just contesting them or putting damage on them while they're getting it or afterwards, then you're really helping out not only yourself, but the rest of the game and not giving that person such the upper hand.
Yeah, that's a good point that you make there. And I was going to ask you about that is the lower players going for power ups, they do leave themselves vulnerable since there are the higher skill players that will definitely be going for the power ups. So it's good that you bring that up. You mentioned that there are going to be some weakened players as they go for those power ups, and they may need to pull back just a little bit and see if they can clean up a few shots, get a few kills there at the beginning of power up spawn.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be a huge time for them. Is try to like focus down that power up person who's going for it, and then see if you can clean up whoever they were focusing, and then just try to get away with maybe 2 or 3 kills. And then after that, you're gonna want to get out of that area because people on spawn are gonna know exactly where you are.
Yeah, right on. All right, guys. I guess that does it, or that'll do it for today's little pre-show. We just wanted to get on here doing a little ad hoc analysis of the final groupings that just came out, and get you guys hyped for today's free-for-all tournament. I will be looking to do maybe a little bit of an ad hoc stream after the tournament so that we can do an analysis on the final results, who's the captains. Are there going to be any players that we think will go drafted higher than their ranking or lower than their ranking? So it'll be a fun show to do, and hopefully, Abstract Kid, you can join us a little later as well.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that. Hopefully I will, and I'll catch you guys later.
All right, for the Abstract Kid, I am Bruiser, aka Ream Seamer, and your host. We will be hollering back at you for the Halo Draft League. Have a great FFA tournament.